Your chicks have hatched! Here's what you need to do to take care of them. First, make sure that your brooder is warm and ready for your chicks. It needs to be 95 degrees Fahrenheit for the first week of the chick's life. If you want to learn how to set up a brooder or a chick house, watch this video that I made. I'll have it linked in the description below. The temperature of the brooder needs to be at 95 degrees for that first week of life, and then after that, every week older that the chick gets, you need to decrease it by 5 degrees Fahrenheit. In the description box below, I will link a free printout of a brooder temperature chart, so that way you'll know as your chick ages what temperature you should have your brooder at. That way it makes it a little bit easier. Make sure that you have a thermometer available so that way you can check the brooder temperature frequently. You can also watch your chicks and they'll tell you whether it's too hot or cold by where they're positioned in the brooder. If they're huddled up against the sides of the brooder, that means it's too hot in there and they're trying to get away from the heat lamp. If you find that they're all huddled together or underneath a heat lamp, that can be a sign that they're too cold. So you'll want to first check the temperature and then adjust accordingly. So if you're using a heat lamp, adjusting the height of the heat lamp will adjust the temperature. If you're using a heating pad over a little cave that you can make out of goat fencing, you can adjust the height of that cave, whether it be shorter or taller, to make it hotter or colder. The same goes for brooder plates. They work the same as the cave. You just change the height. For my chicks, I prefer 2 sources of heat, a red heat lamp, as well as a heating pad. That way my chicks have the option of sleeping inside of the cave, or they can be on top of it and keep their toes warm sitting on top of the heating pad. And they can also have ambient temperature around them that's also the correct temperature because they have the heat lamp above them. For bedding, it's important that you use bedding that's not slippery. Chicks can get deformities in their legs if they are on slippery surfaces. So first I like to put down a layer of paper towels, especially in that first week of the chick's life, so that I can clean it out frequently and easily and it's not slippery. Then after the first week of the chick's life, I put down a layer of paper towels followed by a layer of shavings, and that way it's not slippery for them. For food, chicks need to be fed a starter feed that is in the form of crumbles. For chick feed, I use Purina Start and Grow medicated chick feed. I use that for the first 6 weeks of their life. The reason I go for the medicated bag for the first 6 weeks is because they can get coccidiosis, which is a parasite, and that can be deadly for chicks. So if you're not vaccinating your chicks for coccidiosis, then you'll want to feed the medicated feed for the first 6 weeks. After 6 weeks of age, I slowly transition my chicks from Purina Start and Grow medicated feed to Purina Start and Grow organic crumbles for chicks. That way they are not getting the medication longer than they need to. Aside from the medicated feed, I also prevent coccidiosis by making sure that the brooder is cleaned out frequently. I like to keep it as clean as possible. That way there's less poop in their brooder. It's important that you make sure that your chicks have access to their feed 24/7. So even at night, they will get up and they'll eat feed. Eventually, chicks will need chick grit to digest food, but initially while they're just on the Start and Grow crumbles, it's not necessary. However, when you start taking them outside for little field trips where they can eat grass or bugs, you're definitely going to want to add in some chick grit to help them digest that. Or if you give them any treats while they're in the brooder, you're going to need chick grit for that as well. Typically, if the weather is warm and sunny, I'll take my chicks outside for their first outing at about 3 weeks of age, but I make sure that it's a really nice day because they haven't developed their full feathers yet. And that outing is just a very short, supervised, contained outing for them to get used to the grass and being outdoors for a short period of time. And then I'll continue those small field trips each week periodically as they age to get them used to and prepared for when they're going to live outside eventually. It's really important that chicks have access to water at all times, even overnight. Just like eating, they drink a lot as well when they're growing. It's really important that the water is shallow so that they can't drown in it. If you have a larger container, like a jug that you're using, that you've cut out and that they're drinking out of that, you'll just want to make sure if it's deep water that you're adding decent sized rocks to that, so that way they can drink around the rocks and there's no chance of them actually drowning in there. If you're using a store-bought water feeder, those are usually pretty shallow-lipped. I do like to give my chicks electrolytes initially after they're first hatched, or if you're having chicks that are being shipped, especially times of stress, it's important to make sure that they have balanced electrolytes. So I will put this powder mixed in a gallon of water and I will mix it fresh for them and put that in a separate container. That way they have access to fresh water as well as the option of drinking the electrolytes. Once your chicks are fully feathered, which typically is about 8 weeks of age or older, that's when they can go out into an outdoor coop. Just be sure that they are acclimated to the outside temperature before you put them out into a coop without any heat source. If you're interested in learning about making a chicken coop for your chicks outdoors, I have a video of our most recent chicken coop that we built, and I also have a video about our chicken coop that we use for our main flock. If you'd like to check those out, I have them linked in the description below. Like and subscribe.